Imagine this. You're sitting with people you've known for years. Same table, same jokes, same voices. But something feels off. No one says it. Nothing obvious has changed. And yet, you can feel it. The energy is different. The way they look at you isn't the same anymore. There's a pause before they respond. A slight tightness in their smile, like they're measuring something. You tell yourself you're overthinking. You laugh it off. You act normal, because the alternative is too uncomfortable to admit. But then, it happens. A comment that feels a little too sharp. A joke that doesn't quite feel like a joke. A moment where you needed support, and instead, you got silence. And in that silence, something clicks. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet realization. You're no longer as safe as you thought. You start replaying everything in your head. When did this start? Did you do something wrong? Or were they always like this, and you just didn't see it? Because here's the truth no one prepares you for. It's not your enemies that shake you. It's your own people. The ones who knew your lowest points, the ones who stood beside you when you had nothing. Somehow, those are the same people who begin to pull away when you start becoming something more. And that's what messes with your head. Because it doesn't make sense. Shouldn't the people closest to you want to see you win? Shouldn't loyalty get stronger over time? So why does it feel like the moment you start changing, something in them changes too? They won't say it directly. It shows up in small ways. They downplay your progress. They question your decisions. They act supportive, but something underneath feels forced. Like they're tolerating your growth, not celebrating it. And slowly, you realize something uncomfortable. They were fine with you as long as you stayed the same. As long as you weren't a threat. As long as your life didn't force them to question their own. Because the moment you begin to rise, you stop being relatable. And the moment you stop being relatable, you become uncomfortable. And here's where it gets deeper. This isn't just jealousy. It's human nature. As Friedrich Nietzsche described, people are driven by a need to feel significant. And when someone close to them starts evolving, it disrupts that balance. Your growth becomes a mirror, and most people don't like what they see in that mirror. Carl Jung called this the shadow, the parts of ourselves we ignore, the potential we never acted on, the discipline we avoided. When you start embodying those things, you don't just inspire people, you expose them. And instead of growing, most people protect themselves. They shift the narrative. You've changed. You think you're better. You're not the same anymore. Your growth becomes their discomfort. And without realizing it, they start pulling away. Not always consciously, not always intentionally, but consistently. And this is where the real damage begins. Because it doesn't just affect them, it affects you. You start adjusting. You speak less about your goals. You downplay your success. You shrink parts of yourself just to keep things comfortable. Not for you, for them. And without realizing it, you start negotiating with your own potential. Your brain, wired for social survival, interprets their distance as a threat. You begin to doubt yourself. You question your growth. You wonder if you're going too far. And slowly, you start holding back. This is how people get stuck. Not because they lack ability, but because their environment conditions them to stay the same. You get caught between two versions of yourself, the one who wants to grow and the one who wants to belong. And no matter what you choose, you lose something. If you grow, you risk losing people. If you stay the same, you lose yourself. Most people choose comfort. They trade their potential for acceptance. But at some point, the tension becomes unbearable. You realize you can't keep shrinking. You can't keep pretending. You can't keep living a version of yourself that exists just to make others comfortable. And that's where the shift happens. You stop asking for permission. You stop explaining your vision to people who don't understand it. You stop softening your ambition, not out of ego, but out of clarity. As Viktor Frankl realized, you can't always control your environment, but you can control your response. So instead of trying to change people, you change your relationship with them. You stop expecting support from those who feel threatened by your growth. You stop confusing familiarity with alignment. You start seeing people for who they are, not who you want them to be. And slowly, you become independent, not in isolation, but internally stable. You begin to build a life that doesn't rely on constant validation. You seek people who align with your direction, not your past. And yes, it gets lonely. But that loneliness is temporary, because you're transitioning. You're becoming someone unfamiliar. And unfamiliar always feels uncomfortable. As Friedrich Nietzsche said, you must be willing to burn who you were to become who you are. And finally, you reach the truth. People didn't suddenly turn against you. They were always who they are. The only thing that changed was your position in their life. Loyalty isn't fixed. It's conditional. It shifts with context, emotion, and perception. As Arthur Schopenhauer suggested, human relationships are often based on need, not permanence. And once you understand that, you stop expecting forever from temporary dynamics. You stop depending on people to stay. You stop tying your identity to who supports you. And something powerful happens. You become stable. Not because people don't leave, but because you're no longer built on them staying. You don't collapse when someone distances themselves. You don't shrink when someone feels uncomfortable. You move forward with clarity, with direction, with control. Because in the end, your own people might turn against you. And that's not the tragedy. Staying small to keep them, that is.